Imagine living in the most powerful empire on Earth, an empire so massive that people believed it could never fall. Rome ruled millions of people, controlled entire continents, and dominated the world for centuries. Its armies were unstoppable. Its cities were rich. Its power looked eternal. But Rome wasn't destroyed in one day. It was slowly sold from the inside. While the empire looked invincible from the outside, corruption was spreading everywhere beneath the surface. The rich became richer, while ordinary citizens struggled more and more. Politicians stopped serving Rome and started serving themselves. Government positions were bought with money. Power became more important than loyalty. And greed slowly replaced responsibility. Most people didn't even realize the empire was rotting, because life still looked normal. Rome was filled with entertainment, giant festivals, gladiator fights, and public celebrations. The rulers understood something dangerous. If people stay distracted, they stop paying attention to what's really happening. The Romans even had a phrase for it: bread and circuses. Free food and endless entertainment kept the population entertained while the foundations of the empire slowly collapsed underneath them. At the same time, ordinary citizens were suffering. Taxes became crushing. Farmers lost their land. Small businesses disappeared. But the elite continued living in luxury behind marble walls, and eventually even the Roman army began to change. Soldiers stopped fighting for Rome itself. Instead, many became loyal only to the generals paying them the most money. That was the beginning of something dangerous, because once loyalty disappears, power becomes a business, and Rome slowly turned into a giant political auction. As corruption spread, chaos inside the empire grew worse every year. Roman emperors were constantly assassinated. Some ruled for only months before being murdered by rivals hungry for power. Leadership became unstable, fear became normal, and the empire slowly started tearing itself apart from within. Meanwhile, enemies at Rome's borders kept growing stronger. Barbarian tribes attacked more often. Trade routes weakened. The economy started collapsing. But instead of solving the real problems, Roman leaders chose temporary solutions. To deal with financial disaster, they reduced the amount of silver inside Roman coins. They destroyed the value of their own currency. Prices exploded. People lost trust in the economy. And ordinary citizens suffered even more. Still, the wealthy elite continued living in comfort while the empire around them slowly bled to death. Eventually, Rome became so weak that it could no longer fully defend itself. The empire started hiring foreign mercenaries to protect Roman territory. Think about that. The empire that once conquered the world became dependent on outsiders for survival. And some Roman officials even paid enemies to avoid invasions temporarily instead of fixing the deeper problems destroying the empire. But temporary solutions never stop long-term collapse. Eventually, many of those mercenaries turned against Rome anyway. Then came the moment that shocked the ancient world forever. In 410 AD, the city of Rome itself was invaded and looted by the Visigoths. For nearly 800 years, people believed the eternal city could never fall. But by the time the invasion happened, Rome had already been collapsing for decades. The attack was only the final chapter. The empire had already been destroyed slowly by greed, corruption, division, economic collapse, and leaders willing to trade the future for short-term power. That's why the fall of Rome still matters today. Because civilizations rarely collapse overnight. They decay slowly while people convince themselves everything is still fine. History may not repeat perfectly, but human behavior repeats constantly. And sometimes the greatest threat to an empire doesn't come from outside enemies. It comes from the people inside willing to sell its future piece by piece.